This is Iran. For nearly 500 years, it has remained on the world map with these same borders, and there is hardly a superpower in the world that Iran has not clashed with. Whether it was the Mongols, the Arabs, the Turks, the Romans, the Russians, or the British, nearly every major power tried to conquer Iran. For one big reason, Iran sits at the world's crossroads. It is a strategic bridge that ties Europe, Africa, and Asia together. Three continents linked through one pivotal gateway. Iran shares land borders with 7 neighbors. To the east are Afghanistan and Pakistan, to the west Iraq and Turkey, and to the north Turkmenistan, Armenia, and Azerbaijan. Beyond its land borders, Iran reaches 3 bodies of water, the Caspian Sea to the north, and the Persian Gulf plus the Gulf of Oman to the south. Along Iran's southern coast lies one of the world's most critical and volatile choke points, the Strait of Hormuz. Around 20% of the world's oil and about 1/5 of global LNG trade passes through Strait of Hormuz. For more than 4 decades, Iran has been a constant headache for the Western world, and that raises a mystery. If the West is so powerful, why has no Western state ever been able to attack Iran, occupy it, and make that control stick? Every major power knows it. A direct attack on Iran can backfire, fast and hard. Iran is hard to conquer for many reasons, and its geography is one of the biggest. In today's video, we break down how Iran became so powerful through its history, its geography, and its proxy wars. First, let's understand Iran's geography. The Zagros Range lines Iran's west like a natural barrier. From the northwest border region, it stretches all the way to the Strait of Hormuz, and that terrain is a built-in defense. These mountains give Iran such an advantage that in September 1980, Iraq invaded aiming to seize Khuzestan, the oil-rich southwest, and push deeper into the country. Baghdad also feared the spillover of the Iranian Revolution, and several Arab Gulf states financed Iraq's war effort. But the Iraqi army could only reach as far as Khuzestan. They tried hard to break through the Zagros Mountains and seize Iran, but they failed, and eventually Iran pushed Iraq's forces back and took the fight into Iraq. But Iran ran into a serious problem. Iraq could supply its front lines easily from nearby cities, while Iran struggled to move supplies forward because its major depots and big cities sat on the far side of the Zagros Mountains. In the same way, in Iran's north, the Alborz Mountains run alongside the Caspian Sea, shielding the country from the northern side. And these mountains provide not only natural protection, but also valuable resources. These ranges are packed with mineral wealth, zinc, gold, silver, and even traces of uranium in some deposits. Iran holds major zinc reserves, making it a serious player in the global zinc market. In the 20th century, Iran's geography became even more strategic when massive oil and gas reserves were discovered near the Persian Gulf. Today, Iran holds about 12% of the world's proved oil reserves and about 16% of the world's proved natural gas reserves. Iran is also shielded by a long southern coastline, roughly 2,500 kilometers, split between 2 waters, the Persian Gulf and the Gulf of Oman. Down on Iran's southern coast, Bandar Abbas, its main seaport, sits right beside the Strait of Hormuz, and that geography becomes leverage. If Iran uses its navy to shut down this route, the global economy could go into free fall because about 15% of the world's energy supply moves through here on its way to Asia and Europe. Now, even if someone somehow crosses the coastline and fights through both mountain ranges into Iran, they hit the next major wall inside, the Dashti Lut and the Kavir Desert. The Lut Desert is often called the hottest place on Earth. In 2005, satellites measured a land surface temperature of about 70.7 degrees Celsius there. That kind of harsh terrain, layered with Iran's mountains and long distances, makes conquest and control brutally costly. And in the modern era, another source of Iran's power is its geopolitical strategy, building influence beyond its borders through aligned partners and armed networks. Its population is about 92 million, and roughly 90 to 95% are Shia Muslims. Iran is about 61% Persian, 16% Azeri, 10% Kurdish, and 6% Lur, with Baloch, Arabs, and Turkmen, and other Turkic groups at roughly 2% each. Before the 1979 Islamic Revolution, Iran was a Western-aligned monarchy under the Shah, and one of America's strongest allies in the region. Back then, the United States was still supplying Iran with American-made fighter jets. But after Ruhollah Khomeini came to power, everything about Iran's direction changed. You might be surprised, before 1979, Iran and Israel actually had fairly strong relations. What many people miss is that Iran recognized Israel early, granting de facto recognition on March 6, 1950. When Ruhollah Khomeini came to power, Iran quickly severed ties with Israel and made support for the Palestinian cause a defining principle, and he cut off all diplomatic ties with Israel. Air links to Israel and the Israeli embassy in Tehran was turned over to the Palestinians and became their embassy. That shift quickly wrecked Iran's relationship with the United States, and by April 1980, diplomatic ties were cut. But the fallout did not stop with Israel or the United States. Across the Arab world, governments around Iran went on alert after the 1979 Islamic Revolution. They feared that Iran's revolutionary ideology could spread into the Arab states and threaten their monarchies from within. When Iraq invaded Iran in 1980, several neighboring Arab states backed Saddam Hussein with money and political support. That is when Iran realized survival would take more than defense at home. It needed influence and strategic depth beyond its borders. That is why it needed a way to threaten Israel, even from a distance. So it built reach through aligned groups, from Hamas in Gaza and Hezbollah in Lebanon to the Fatimiyun division in Syria, the Badr organization in Iraq, and the Houthis in Yemen. This entire network is often called the Axis of Resistance, and through it, it keeps Israel and even nearby Arab states under constant pressure to think twice before taking any step against it. When Israel began bombing Gaza, the conflict spilled outward. Hezbollah opened fire from Lebanon into Israel, and the Houthis began drone and missile attacks on Red Sea. Shipping, they said, was tied to Israel. Now that we are talking warfare strategy, we have to talk about Iran's drone capability. In December 2023, as the Red Sea attacks carried into January 2024, France used an Aster 15 surface-to-air missile costing about $1.1 million to shoot down Houthi drones that can cost only thousands of dollars. Many assessments say Iran has supplied or enabled Houthis with drone and missile capability, even as Tehran denies it. And similar Shahed-type drones are also a key weapon Russia uses against Ukraine. According to a 2022 posture statement from United States Central Command, Iran has built up and stockpiled a sophisticated ballistic missile force across the region. Iran's longest-range missiles can strike targets out to about 2,000 kilometers. Bottom line, once you factor in Iran's terrain, its proxy network strategy, and its drone tech, even under Western sanctions and with a relatively small official economy, Iran still comes across as a country full of unknowns, whether it is the real trajectory of its nuclear program, how much money flows into its proxy networks, or how fast its missile technology is advancing. With Tehran, the biggest problem is uncertainty. Hit it directly, and you risk a chain reaction that spirals fast, which is why Western countries keep holding back. Bottom line, when both the Strait of Hormuz and Bab al-Mandab can be put under threat, the pressure point is not regional, it is global, and that is a powerful bargaining chip. It is not standing alone anymore. Russia and China are increasingly backing Tehran, mostly off the record but hard to ignore.